Alrighty. Welcome to Engineering Design 2. We are finally getting to kind of what is the point of the level 2 of this class, which is switching to architectural design. So what we use for architectural design, what I'm going to be showing you guys, is this program called Revit. It is for any kind of structural, architectural, um, civil design, that kind of thing. It's a really powerful program, does a lot of things. This is something that I have a lot of experience in. I think I started learning this when I was 14, so about your guys' age. And I've been doing it ever since. It's been a side job in college. It's been a side job now. I still do things for a company called Timberline. If you're ever interested, I can show you things that I've done. I specialize. So there's two types of design in here. There's models, which are going to be your houses and big projects, and there's families, which are your individual pieces. So when you talk about designing a family might be a cabinet that goes somewhere. It might be an architectural element such as a chair or a table. It could be a larger structural element such as a beam, joist, post, something like that. But the model is a project. It's an accumulation of families. A family is the individual element. There are a lot of preloaded families for us. We don't need to worry about learning any of that just yet. Um, but that is my specialty. That is something I'm going to show you guys a lot about eventually. But to get started, we're just going to learn, focus on residential construction. Okay. So to do this, how we get started is first you need to open up Revit 2025, and we're going to make a new model. Now I am going to just demonstrate this as a navigation intro, kind of getting your way around Revit. What I'd like you guys to do while you're doing this is get your guided notes, follow along. I do check those guided notes. You do have to have them all done and turn them into me. I'm not sure how they'll be turned in yet, but they will be due. You have to do the guided notes, pen and paper. It reinforces learning. You can't just watch the video and call it good. You have to do that. That's my evidence of learning when you guys are doing these things independently. So open up. We're in Revit 2025 right now. Um, we're going to go to make a new model. So I'm going to go new model, and you notice the first thing we see is it's asking us what template do we want to work from. Right now, just stick to Imperial Multidiscipline. Eventually, we can get in there. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna change what I want. I would like you guys to go to. There's one that I'm used to. Where is it? I don't see it, which is making me sad. Residential default. Okay. Right now, we're going to start small scale. This is residential buildings. We're going to open up our residential default, open, and okay. Okay. Now, there's a lot of things we see when we first look in here. I'll admit, I'm used to working in the company I work for. We still work in Revit 2023, I believe. Yeah, we still work in Revit 2023. So if I click that, you see all the things that I'm doing for that company. But so UI is a little different. I still need to get used to it. What we're seeing here, up here, just like any Word document, any Google document you're working with, you have your ribbon and you have a bunch of tabs worth of commands. Right here, architecture tab is going to be a lot of familiar things to us. Got our walls, doors, windows. Components are going to be our custom families. Anything we throw in there. See roofs, ceilings, floors. These are all of our tools to draw those things. Okay. It's still going to be a minute before we get to any of that. Just know that in our architecture tab is where we're going to be spending a lot of time. I think just off the top of my head, we're going to be spending a lot of time in architecture, annotate, modify. Those will be the three big ones that we spend time in. Comparing it to Inventor, this is going to be like our 3D model tab. Modify would be like our sketch tab. You see some of our sketch tools here. And what I say the other one was. I'm going crazy. Annotate is going to be all of our dimensioning and things like that. Huh. I do warn you, Revit and Inventor, both made by Autodesk, both work completely differently. Like I swear it's made by like opposite ends of the globe, just different people using it. But once you shift your thinking to do this, you see your modeling skills increase dramatically. Like I did not get as good as what I'm doing now until I started working in Revit because it forces you to think in what I would consider the correct way for modeling. So, backtracking a bit, we got our ribbon, we've got our tabs. We're going to learn about all this. All right. Every single piece here is going to be touched. What else are we looking at? Here is our design space. Okay, but unlike Inventor, this is not 3D. Most of the work we do can be done in either 2D or 3D. Okay, Revit is a global program. Right now, it's starting me off in a 2D view. Okay, this is my first floor plan. We'll talk about what that is in a second. But Revit is global. So as I draw things in 2D, it's going to update my 3D view. Okay. Don't worry about what these are right now. Just know that when we draw, we have to draw inside of them. It makes things easier down the road. Okay. Two very important things right here. Properties and project browser. Okay. We're going to start with our project browser. This is close to our feature tree. And actually, to get a better look at these, I'm going to drag this out. And then you can see I can throw it back in right there. And now I got them side by side. Makes my drawing area a little smaller, but I don't care. It's what I'm used to. That's how I like working. You get more information here at the same time. And I'd like to make that smaller. It might not let me. So I'm going to bump you to that side. There we go. Okay. So Project Browser, similar to our feature tree from Inventor. Okay. We are looking at a couple things here. I always close ceiling planes. We never work through ceiling planes. There are three types of views that we're going to commonly work with. We have our floor plans. Right now we're on our first floor plan. Okay. A floor plan is a view of a building from the top looking down. So as I draw here, we're going to see the walls and everything that I place. It's going to be a typical floor plan. And just as an example, ignore that, floor plan examples. Okay. To look in here, you see this is what your house might look like from the top looking down. That is a floor plan. Okay. Elevation. Okay. These types of views are what your house looks like as if you were standing on the street looking at your house. So if I come back over here, residential elevation examples. Okay, so these are all elevations. It's not how I want to look at it. Open image and new tab. There we go. Okay, so if you were standing on the street, an elevation, an elevated view is what our structure looks like as if we were looking at it from the street. Okay, from a standing position. Okay. So we have those two elements and we have our 3D view. Okay, as a quick example, I'm just going to place a few walls down. Okay. So this is what my walls look like in my floor plan from the top looking down. I can switch to my south side view. We'll talk about all this later. Okay, this is what my walls look like from the street looking. Okay, there's no detail because I just placed it. I haven't added any detail yet. And then if I go to my 3D view, this is what we're used to. Okay, this is what we're used to in Inventor. This is what my walls look like um, from my 3D view. And just like Inventor, you can hold Shift, mouse wheel, rotate. You can hold mouse wheel to pan. You have your view cube. That all stays the same once we're in the 3D environment. A lot of what we're doing, our 3D objects, can be placed in 3D. When we get to it, I'm going to prefer that we do most of our annotation, our constraints from our 2D. Okay, this makes it easier. Okay, so that is all Project Browser. Okay, that's how we navigate different views. Here, our properties are the settings of our individual pieces. So right now, I have nothing selected and it's giving me my floor plan settings. If I were to select a wall, it's going to give me my wall settings. Okay. We have different types of walls. So if I want, I can come in here. I can make that a different wall. I can make it all these different types of walls. And it's hard to tell now because settings aren't set how I like them. But we'll get to, there you can see a different type. We'll get to different types of walls here soon. Okay. So just looking at Revit, well, I'll show that in 3D as well, actually. Okay. So here's my wall. I can change the type of wall. We have all these different ones by default in there. We can change them however we want. We'll get to specifics later. But just know that we can do that. That all happens in our properties. Okay, properties are the settings of our families that we place into Revit. Okay, so these walls are wall families. Okay, wall families and wall types. Okay, we've got our ribbon, we've got our project browser, we've got our properties. In our 3D space, normal view cube, normal, manual, panning, orbit, rotation tools. On the bottom, okay, a couple important things. I always prefer, and I would ask you guys to do this well. So at this point, if you don't have Revit open, this is your time to open up Revit. And I want you to practice doing this because you have to do it for every project you open up. I like, in almost all cases, there are some cases where it's different, and I'll get to that later. This is our detail level, and we're going to go to fine detail. And you'll see why here when I switch to, say, my interior wall. Okay. Fine detail. I want hidden line, which it currently is. And then I'm going to go to my view tab, and we're going to turn on thin lines. And now you see the difference. Okay. When I have different layers of a wall, which your wall is always going to have layers. Okay. When I have different layers to a wall, it shows them. Okay, if I don't have thin line on, it's super hard to see. Okay, they still exist, but man, you can't see them. So in your view tab, thin lines turned on. Okay. Anytime you guys, when you turn things in, if I have you turn in a screenshot, your thin lines have got to be on. Okay. All of these other things we'll get to, but for now, I think that's a pretty good start to what we're doing. Okay, so in your model, you guys have it open. Turned on thin lines, turned on fine detail level. That just helps visually, makes it easier to see what you're doing. Absolutely what I need you guys to do now. And I am needing to pause the video because I forgot something. Okay. So I've got it set up now. What I'd like you guys to do is set your keybinds in Revit to the same ones that I have. Okay. I've been working in Revit long enough. I've got pretty quick keybinds so I can do things quickly. I'll usually say what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but some of my keybinds I've had for so long that I don't remember if they are inside Revit naturally or if they're ones that I set custom. So for you guys to set the same ones I have, you're going to go to Getting Started in Revit, in your Google Classroom, open this up, and we're going to download. Whoa. Right click. I don't know how we're going to download this. Let me download it somehow. There we go. Download that file. Okay. Then you're going to go into Revit 2025. Go to View tab, User Interface, Keyboard Shortcuts, Import. Go to your downloads. Just make sure. Let's overwrite. And now, just to double check, there we go. Okay. Custom keybinds are in throughout the year. As I use custom keybinds, you guys will be able to use them as well. Okay, so for this video, that's the one thing I absolutely need you to do is to import your custom keybinds. What I'd like to do now is show you guys a couple projects that exist inside Revit, kind of just show you what it's capable of doing, things that I've been part of, projects that I'm working on, so you guys know kind of by the time you're done what you're going to be able to do. Alrighty. Okay, I've got them pulled up. These are all in Revit 2023. I just want to provide a few examples of what I think you guys will be able to accomplish by the end of the year this year. Because we've got through May to really work on Revit. We're going to hit it hard, and we're going to get you guys to where you are producing models and putting out plans for those models. So I'm going to show you just the 3Ds. We'll get into plans later. That's a little more boring. I just like the models. But right here, you guys might recognize this. This is a representation. This is a model of the plans for the concession complex going up out by the football field. This is something that me and Mr. Arns worked together to design. I have the modeling skills. He has construction experience. We came together and we were able to produce this. And from this model, able to develop a full set of plans for everything. Pull up architectural floor plan here. And so from this model, we can pull dimensions, materials, everything you need for estimating. Makes it pretty easy. One thing you guys are going to do, and I'm doing it kind of on my own time too, is start working on a dream home. So after we learn the skills, your first big project with Revit is designing a dream home for yourself. Um, this isn't complete. You can see I've got one wall with windows done, working on the front of the house, but still wholly incomplete. And then another thing, I talked about families. So the things that go into making a project. Here is just one of the kind of reference documents we have, and it's a big file. You can see my computer freezing up as I try to go through it. Is all the families that go into making a home. Oh, and it crashed. Okay, that's my sign. Um, anyways, models, families, all things we're going to be covering. Next thing we're getting into, I know, is defining the structural elements that go into making a house and learning how to model those.